Alright guys, I've been using the Simucube 3 Pro and the Sport over the last couple of weeks. This is the Sport, the Pro is still on the rig. And honestly, this launch has been rough. Easily the most issues I've ever had with the wheelbase at release, to be honest. But at the same time, I've also never seen a company reacting this fast to these issues. Daily communication, multiple developer builds, patches every few days. So credit where credit is due. Before we continue, quick disclosure, Simucube sent me the Simucube 3 Sport and Pro for review. They didn't pay me, they didn't see this video before release, and as always, all opinions are entirely my own. You guys know how I do things here. If something's great, I'll say it. If something's broken, I'll say it too. I also want to be completely transparent about how weird the situation has been for me. The base, in my opinion, just isn't ready yet, and I honestly didn't know how to handle this video. I really like the people at Simucube. They are passionate, they listen, they care, and I don't want to put out a full permanent review that basically becomes a giant list of issues that will surely be fixed in a few weeks. At the same time, I respect you guys, my audience, way too much to sugarcoat anything or pretend the product is ready when it clearly isn't. I'll always be honest with you whether brands like it or not. So instead of doing a full polished review today, I decided to make this early impression video instead. This gives Simucube some time to fix things, and it gives you the truth about where the product is right now. Simucube 2 has been the benchmark since 2019, smooth, reliable, and the go-to base for many. Simucube 3 is their attempt to modernize everything and take back the force feedback crown. And spoiler, in terms of driving feel, they've absolutely closed the gap to the very best or even surpassed that. More on that later. Prices. Simucube 3 Sport 15 Nm at 1,332 euros. The Pro 25 Nm at 1,570 euros. And the Simucube 3 Ultimate with 35 Nm coming 2026 for 3,284 euros. These prices include the link hub and taxes. If you already have a link hub, you can save around 100 euros. These are some of the most expensive bases on the market. If you want to support the channel, there are discount codes Dan3, Dan5. Try them out at Simucube Shop or SimRaceShop, but I would recommend to wait with the purchase for a few weeks. Okay, specifications. We have 23-bit encoders across the whole lineup. They are extremely efficient motors, with even the Ultimate only on a 360-watt power supply. Simucube no longer shares numbers about slew rate. On one hand, I understand why, because it's irrelevant. On the other hand, just give us the numbers so people can compare and be happy about that. The bases are built in the EU with industrial-grade components, but the big change here is on the front, it's the ecosystem. The Simucube 3 also is smaller than the Simucube 2 overall. It's a bit shinier, and personally, I prefer the look of this. The machining is excellent. Everything feels very nice. Pro is around 11 kilograms, the Sport a bit lighter, obviously, and it just feels like proper industrial or racing grade equipment. You do get front mounting, you do get bottom mounting, you also get screws included that in my opinion are a little bit questionable, because look at the quality of these screws. They will basically make your fingers black. Like, what the hell? I don't even know where to buy these screws. They said they fixed it in future batches, so you might be lucky to not get screws like this. Still, weird impression on such a premium product. And then there also is this new control box. Eventually you can control torque, damping, friction, and show in-game overlays using this knob. Right now you can only adjust strength, but they are working on implementing all the other stuff. But we'll talk more about this in the issues section. Overall, the build quality is exactly what you would expect from Simucube. Less a consumer product, more a precision instrument. They definitely did a good job there. The new quick release feels great. Very, very little play when you mount it. Very satisfying lock. It's a little bit unsmooth, but it gets better from time to time. And it can still get a bit sticky after driving. So if you remove your wheel, be a bit careful, Dizzy, right? I sometimes see white dust build up. You can see it here on the inside. A little bit. It's hard to focus on this, but there's like this white dust inside. So there is still some wear-in happening, probably like wearing in the tolerances. And also you need two hands to remove a wheel, because if you only pull on one hand, it will just lock. Another issue that I've seen on some wheels is position of the USB cable. So the handle can block the access to the USB cable. And speaking of cables, welcome back to 2019, because you'll still be using a USB cable with your USB wheels. Inside the QR, you have Simucube's new thing called Lightbridge. It's a fully wireless power and optical data transfer system. You can see it here. This is the ring for the inductive power transmission, and there you have these LEDs and receivers for the data communication. No slip rings, no batteries, no EMI issues. at least at the wheel, and around 700 milliamps of power budget. That's quite a limited power budget, but they do use efficient LEDs in their wheels, so it might be fine, even though the Savu is not a very bright wheel. Extremely cool engineering, but very proprietary. Only Simucube Link wheels can take full advantage of this. Third-party USB wheels still need a USB cable and won't get wireless data or power. Manufacturers can use and buy the tech, but they basically have to redesign every wheel, which kind of sucks, especially for wheel manufacturers. Talking for myself here. So this is a niche in a niche in a niche. Let's see how popular it will actually be. So from the user's perspective, if you just want 2 or 3 wheels, you don't have anything, you don't care about the resale value, just buy Lightbridge wheels for this base. Not having a cable really is very, very nice and convenient. Current selection is limited with only the Savu available, but more wheels will be coming next year also from GSI. If you're a wheel collector, well, you'll continue to use USB cables on your wheels. And if you're a wheel manufacturer, I mean, I can only talk from my point of view. The whole Lightbridge thing is way more work. Yes, in theory, a Lightbridge wheel can also have USB, but then you will still have to use Simucube software for LED and display support, which honestly, nobody on another wheelbase probably wants to install Simucube Tuner to use their wheel. An LED API to SimHub is in the works. Support for display via SimHub is extremely unlikely. Personally, I think USB pass-through is the better long-term solution. More flexible, more open, and if done right, it's also a very reliable solution. Yes, in theory, USB doesn't like to get routed via a slip ring, but I've got over 80 wheels here and I never had any issues with USB pass-through on any of them, at least if you connect it properly. Don't go with your typical 37 meter long coiled cable into a USB-A from the QR into the slip ring, just don't do it. Converting Lightbridge to USB will never be possible. The bandwidth is far too low at less than 20 megabits per second. For example, USB 2 high speed is 480 megabits per second, and the Vocore displays being used in those USB wheels also need that. In theory, maybe a USB 2 low speed conversion could be possible, but it would require a lot of work. I do have a slip ring conversion for the Simucube 3 available. I might release it. I need to see the options for that, but it works. I managed to remove this in an easy way. So the thing that I showed earlier, where is it? Here. This is the front part of the base. So it's possible. Yeah, maybe I'll release it, maybe not, I don't know yet. The Link Hub is the central brain of the system. It's Ethernet based. You can see it connects the wheelbase, it connects the Simucube active pedals. It still connects wirelessly to Simucube 2 wireless wheels. So these wheels will of course continue to work with your Simucube 3. Everything is galvanically isolated and built for future expansions. It's a clean industrial ecosystem, but definitely more closed than before. Something I don't really understand is why they want to move away from USB so badly using an Ethernet based system, but instead of actually connecting it to the PC via Ethernet, they still use USB for that. Maybe we'll see a link connection on 100% Ethernet in the future. Would love to see this. My Sigma motion system, for example, works like that, and I've never had any issues with that. The accessories they sent me are built really, really well, but yeah, the pricing is very bold. For example, this 70 to 50 millimeter adapter is, guess what? It's over 60 euros only to be able to connect a wheel with a 50.8 PCD to a 70 millimeter PCD, which is a creative interpretation of what a metal ring should cost. Or the shaft extension, also really good build quality. It's available in 100 millimeter, what I have here, and 200 millimeter. And it will cost you just below 200 euros. And you only want to buy one of them because you don't need both. Well, you can't. You always have to buy the pack of 100 and 200 millimeter shaft extension. My recommendation, unless you really want to invest into Lightbridge, is to just get this adapter to 70 millimeter PCD. It's still a whopping 46 euros. And then use any third-party QR, like for example, this QR2 from Simucube is really good. And this QR is cheaper than this adapter, like these are around 60 euros. Okay, now the issues. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of them on both the Pro and the Sport. This doesn't mean you will. There are a lot of very satisfied Simucube 3 users on their Discord that didn't have any issues, but also many users reported similar things that I saw. It only affects a small percentage of the user base though. Still, I think it's worth pointing these out. Good news first, the bad oscillations I saw on early builds are completely gone. Simucube went from one of the worst to one of the best in a single update. Amazing job. But the control box. On firmware version 3.0, it was unusable for me. Force feedback changed strength randomly, communication froze. The LED on here froze. On 3.0.2, it's better, but I still get communication dropouts. And interestingly, when I isolate the control box from the rig using this plastic spacer that I designed, all issues disappear. It feels like there is a tiny current somewhere on the rig that is interrupting communication or so. I have no real explanation for that because it does not affect everyone. There are many similar reports on the Discord regarding these control boxes. This might be a hardware problem, and if it is, I'm sure Simucube will replace the affected units, but let's hope they can improve on it and fix it in software. Then the force feedback knocking. There sometimes are sharp, sudden force spikes, like a really sharp step response. It almost feels like somebody is hammering on the shaft on the wheelbase. On 3.0.0, I had like 5 to 6 of these spikes per lap at Monza, for example. On 3.0.2, it's much better, but I still get like maybe 1 per lap, roughly. Simucube said they know how to fix it with an update that is coming very soon. It's not available at the time of recording this video, so I obviously cannot comment on that. And then another thing I had with the base were EMI issues. I've never had EMI problems before, even with the Fanatec DD2 that was notorious for it. My rig is grounded properly, even though I also tried without grounding, with no difference. With grounding, you never know what's gonna happen. With the Simucube 3, I had USB wheels disconnecting. I had ghost inputs here and there, random dropouts, and even 2 or 3 cases where both the base and the pedals disconnected, ruining the race. But also here, I think this might be fixable by software, because on the pre-release builds, it wasn't bad. On 3.0.0, it was really bad for me. On 3.0.2, it improved a lot. Like I did a 5-hour stream or so and had like 2 or 3 disconnects. My suspicion is that the sharp force feedback spikes might be causing some sort of EMI event, so this could be fixed in a software update. I hope so. Next thing, they have a safety feature like similar to the hands-off detection or something. This triggers randomly when it shouldn't. Suddenly the base thinks I'm not holding the wheel anymore or whatever. It kills the force feedback. It adds a ton of damping, and this is very annoying, can also destroy your race. And why can't we disable this completely? I get it, safety features are important sometimes, but yeah. Interestingly, this was not an issue on 3.0 or earlier, so it's definitely fixable in software. It's just on the current 3.0.2 software. Yeah, overall, this launch feels rushed. They delayed it. I think they probably should have delayed it some more to polish the product, even though they said they didn't see any of these issues in their rigs. But as of today, the base does not feel ready to me. But Simucube's response has been excellent. They are fast, they are transparent, there were a lot of development builds that I could test. They are clearly working hard on this, and I have zero doubts that in a few weeks all those issues will either be fixed or at least found. And even if it is a hardware issue, I'm sure they will make it right and replace affected hardware, because like Simucube support has always been excellent. And with a product rollout, you will never find every single problem during internal testing. I mean, it should be found, but it's impossible. Like there are so many different systems out there. And considering how many happy users there are out there, it also only affects a small portion of the user base. So my recommendation right now is wait a few weeks if you can and see how things develop, if it's not super urgent. Like I said earlier, I'm sure in a few weeks this will be flawless and they fixed everything, but if you can, I would still recommend to wait. Now the positive part. Force feedback quality is excellent. When it works, the force feedback is really very good. It's extremely smooth, very consistent, super fast, and definitely more controlled and responsive than the Simucube 2. They have absolutely closed the gap to the very top wheelbases and maybe have even taken the lead in some games. And yeah, there is real potential here. It just needs the software to catch up. Telemetry force feedback is available on some games, on iRacing for example. It's called cornering force here, masked as an effect, but in the end that's telemetry force feedback. And it feels really good on iRacing. If added on top of the direct input force feedback, it lets you feel the grip a bit better. You always have a better understanding of what the car is doing, in my opinion. On LMU, for example, telemetry force feedback is not available. I'm sure it will come later. With this base, also a new software was available called Tuner 3, very modern interface, clean layout, very powerful. Right now it's still early and some features are missing, like for example the assignable effect for the control box. But I really enjoy this new software. It looks great. We'll have a closer look at that in the full review that will be coming in a few weeks, hopefully. So to sum it up, hardware incredible, quick release feels good. A lack of USB pass-through is a shame these days. If other manufacturers can figure it out, Simucube should be able to figure it out. The ecosystem is clean and professional, but obviously way more closed and proprietary than before. Force feedback is very, very good, but the software firmware is not ready yet, in my opinion. There are still too many issues, and the EMI control box and knocking issues must be fixed first. This video probably sounds quite negative, and yeah, right now the base is not where it should be, but I'm genuinely confident that Simucube will fix all these issues. The hardware is too good, the potential is too high, and based on how fast they have been responding so far, I fully expect this to be in a much better place in a few weeks. Once it is, expect a full review on this channel. But yeah, for now, I would still recommend wait a few weeks till all this is fixed and you will get a base in a much better state. Not a video I typically do. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below what your experience is, what you think of the whole situation, if you had some issues or if it's working fine for you. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope to see you in the next one.